Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the May 21st Trek CC board meeting. I'm Christopher Sonsby, current chair of the continuing committee. And today we've got four other board members with me. From my right to left, I have Justin Ford, our Director of Finance, Charlie Plain, Director of First Edition, PJ Ott, Director of Second Edition, and Brian Schaeflein, Ops. First order of business on the agenda for today's meeting is the approval of the minutes from February and March. I read them both. Did anybody else have a chance to read the minutes from the last 2 months?
I did. Nothing jumped out at me.
Richie?
Same here.
I move to
Okay.
approve both sets of minutes.
And I
Okay.
second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. I think we can then jump down to department reports. Maggie's unfortunately not joining us today. As the executive officer, I can tell you Maggie's playing in way too many tournaments at once. She was the last couple months, she was in, I think, 4 or 5 all at one time. She played in both of the online regionals with me. She played in, I think, the starter draft event or starter that Daniel ran. A couple other tournaments. So Maggie's been very busy playing the game, obviously recording for social media where we could, and making promos, which is a small spoiler for later. I'll get to those in my report. Do any of you know more of what's been going on the XO side?
Maggie and I have been starting the process of getting her to take over the promo printing management. I have been sick and she's been busy, and now she's on a trip. By the way, happy belated birthday to Maggie. She had a birthday, I think yesterday or the day before.
29 years old, I think, right? Again?
Yeah, she's still 29. 29 for the 13th time, something like that. Yeah, 13th. Anyway, yeah, so we've just been going through that, and I think after we get these printable updates out, and iron out a few details, I think we're gonna take over that, and that's gonna be good for everybody. So.
Yes, good point. She did bring up that she has some assistance with that project already. She's recruited a couple folks, and we expect to get the printable promos back on track, get the ones that are up. We're gonna have a couple different sets of eyes looking to make sure that we're not missing some, because it seems like every time we're always 1 or 2 short. And then once those are out, we'll certainly make an announcement. So thanks again to Charlie and Maggie for their work on that side project. Charlie, you're also up next with First Edition reports in your department.
This is one of those reports where I don't have a lot to tell you because not a lot has been done public facing. But we are very, very, very busy behind the scenes on lots of different projects. We are probably days or maybe weeks away from motion pictures remastered. I have to coordinate with Julia a little bit to make sure we're not stepping on each other's toes, but the motion pictures remastered is done, and it's just getting the pieces in the place, trying to figure out the best way to present everything, because we're errata in a bunch of cards, and I'm not sure we want to dump 80 new cards into the errata file, make you dig through them if you want them. So we're going to try to figure that out. But it looks great. Johnny and Lauren worked really hard on this, and it looks really good. Gameplay is great, and it's going to be fun. And then hot on the heels of that will be Paradise Lost, which is finished, and it's not through production yet, but it is signed off on by our design, rules, and creative people. So that will be coming. That's the second classic films set with Khan and Cybok, all that good stuff. I'm pretty happy with where that ended up. We've played with Khan or Cybok before. They were basically the same deck with slightly different cards. Like, it was all about stealing people. And we have the design team, which same design team as on the second star to the right, worked really hard to give those two decks differences, mechanically and flavorfully, and we're excited to share that with you guys. Project Solo, which is the TNG movie set, is on its 4th week of testing, 4th revision. Pretty cool. There's been some really exciting playtest decks. A lot of focus about one card in particular, but that's been good. A lot of decks to test. Some Riemann decks, a couple different flavors of Riemann decks coming out to you. There's some really fun new versions of existing characters. So I'm looking forward to that one being tested. And up after that, it's going to be Project Mandalorian, which is a standalone sequel to Alternate Universe and Q Continuum. With follow up to all that, more Q excitement, and making me maximum sad we don't use any of the Paramount Plus Star Trek stuff. There were a number of really cool new Q card possibilities from season 2 of Picard. No spoilers. Yeah, things are going really well. I'm hopeful that by the next time we have a meeting, I'll have a lot of actual more things to show off and news to share with all of you. But things are going really well.
It's great to hear. I would just add, not to hype organized play, but that's what I do here. So we ran a couple of locals recently, and it's just really great to see right now where One is at, where you can play a TNG Fed deck, which is one of our guys' standalone decks. It's always strong. And you ran that against TOS Romulans, and then I had a DS9 staging ground deck. It's great to see decks from all of the shows, I guess, showing up at local tournaments. They're all pretty much competitive. I mean, there's always going to be balance issues. I think most people playing in tournaments right now would contend that original series is a little bit stronger than some of the other shows, but I mean, we can always fix those. But the great thing is that you got everybody's favorite show is going to have a deck that they can play. I think right now that's just a real testament to your team and everything they do behind the scenes to make it all as balanced as they can.
Yeah, and there's a lot more work to do. I know the balance team is working hard, having lots of conversations. And so is the rules team. They're deep in the weeds, talking about things they can do to simplify without taking away what makes 1E. That's a common criticism that we hear, but it's not what we're trying to do at all. I know that there were a lot of people that love the flavor of Miracle Worker having a hidden skill in it, but that's just a feel bad moment for everybody that doesn't know that rule, which is a lot of people didn't know that rule. So, we don't want feel bad moments that are not a result of your own decision. So,
You mean like attempting with all your people and running into something that blows your ship up?
If you take 20 people on your only ship into a space mission, then you Cytherians, okay, sorry, that sucks.
Right.
But you did that, not us. So.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. You did that, not us.
Oh, one other note about Tribbles. We are playtesting a new Tribbles set. Could use a couple more playtesters, but I think it's probably past the midpoint, over the hump. And as soon as we can get that dialed in a little bit more, there'll be new Tribbles.
That's great. If you would like any feedback from a peanut gallery, I'm happy to look at them and just say, hey, I like this card, I don't like this card.
I can tell you that the theme is I don't want to say back to basics, but it's about going out. It's about sort of swatting mid-round point scoring and making all of your points come from going out. So
I'm totally in favor of that. That's the whole point of the game, right? Those decks that could win with just mirror, it's kind of dumb to me, but I'll just mirror everybody else's points. Never try to go out myself. Well, good deal. Thanks, Charlie, for that report. Anything else?
You're welcome. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. TJ, you're up for second edition.
Yes. First, I want to apologize to the community because I had 2 very stressful years, and finally Corona knocked me down, and I would say it gave me the rest, and I have a kind of burnout, so I was not able to check any emails or do any work for TrekCC the last 5, maybe 6 weeks. I haven't checked email. I haven't responded. I also haven't responded any private emails to me, which as today were, I think, 800 plus. And during that time, Richard was running the show behind the scenes. I'm very grateful for that. And now the first time I'm taking a little bit care of track again. So this meeting is the first step. I really hope to recover from my burnout. Richard updated me about second edition. We have now the community set in production. It is at art, and we have to coordinate with Wani and the Wani sets to see when it can be revealed, but it is the final steps. I try to prepare some articles for this set about the development of cards, because it was special. It was a community set, and we want to show how the cards were produced, how the cards changed during production, during playtesting, from the idea the people gave us to the final product. That will be the next set. It depends on Wani schedule, and it depends on upcoming tournaments. So I'm not up to date to the point, but that is, I think it will come as soon as possible. It is at art. It has passed proofreading, playtesting, so it is final steps. That will be the next set. After that, it is Justice. I checked Justice before my burnout. It was in a very good condition. I have no idea what cycle of playtesting we are, but I think it will be a good set. It's a small set, but it was in a very good condition from the very beginning. That will be said that at the moment in playtesting. We plan to coordinate it and combine it with Project Shackleton. That will be a set about missions. And Shackleton was originally made by one designer, and we now have a second designer for this set, and they coordinate a little bit. And after they coordinated, they already started, it will be go to playtesting together with Justice, because Justice is a rainbow set and missions can be tested at the same time. Then we're working on 15th anniversary set. I have no idea where we stand now, but as I talked with Richard, we can hold the timeline for that. And I'm a little bit behind erratas and giving errata to playtesting and published errata, but new cards to errate. It will be a small set of errata. I don't know when I can do it. Maybe it will be 9, maybe it will be 18 cards. I don't know when to do it, but then we are up to date. Yeah, that is all from my side here.
All right, thank you, TJ. Communications is next on the list. Scott, I believe, right? We gotta make a decision on that later on. I think that's part of what's covered or will be covered in the new business section. But I do want to give a real good shout out to Daniel, who's been doing a lot of the communications, posting, cross-posting to social media. It's really cool for me to have posted an article about the meeting or etc. And then I log on to my own Facebook page, and within minutes it's already there. So Daniel's been doing a fantastic job in Scott's absence, and I just wanted to publicly thank him for all of his hard work. If next up, if there's nothing else on communications, we can jump down to ops, which is Brian.
Let's see, for ops, achievement wise, I don't think there's been any new achievements since our last meeting, but Marcus has done some bug fixes, so we got that. Programming, again, Marcus has been busy. He keeps on improving the trade manager he made. He's also just redid our site index, so it lists like all the major pages and documents on our site. There's a link in the top menu on the main site to that. So if you see anything missing or think something should be added to that because it's important, let us know. And I've been slowly working on the member rewards store project. I'm hoping I can show some folks that to get some actual testing done on it in July. I have a big work project which will be wrapping up end of June, so I'm hoping I will be able to focus a lot more brain power on that this next month. What else? Shipping. Promenade is all up to date. There's no backlog. In the warehouse, we got the regional kits and we've been sending those out. I think, Chris, you got yours already. A couple others I think have already been delivered.
Yep. The early regionals I'm hearing are getting their kits.
Yeah.
What about Masters kits? Anything that's going out yet? Or
I haven't shipped any of those yet. I think you and I should get together to talk on where those are going. So just so I make sure that I get them all.
Sure.
And what else? Dan has shipped all the raffle prizes from the most recent raffle, and it looks like, judging from forum posts, seems like everyone is receiving theirs. Even, in Europe, so that's good. I think that's everything, ops wise.
I just clicked on the site index page while we were talking. Holy crap, you're not kidding. That's a whole lot of information.
Yep.
If anybody is watching this and you're struggling to find anything you can imagine, wow. I scrolled halfway down the page and it was just very obscure things that I forgot we even did, 10, 15 years ago. So
there is a little search box up there where you can put a
Yep.
word in or something if you're trying to find something particular.
That's great. Thank you, Marcus, for that. That'll help me when my old brain triggers and I can't remember the name of a card.
I always go there to the site index to find the OPG and the ban list and what else? The glossary.
There you go. Organized play. I guess that's me, isn't it? By lack of. So this month should say the last couple months, it seems like a lot of groups are kind of coming out of COVID hibernation, playing more. We've had the Florida League wrapped up. There's been a new tournament in California. I think Richard New had some new players, which we always love to see. The Romulus Rumble weekend in New Jersey happened just, I think, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I mentioned earlier we had locals in Minnesota. Locals were in London and Austria, Oklahoma, Alabama. I'm just trying to say these as fast as possible to make Justin write it all down really quickly. And more importantly, we wrapped up our first set of regionals. The online regionals, the ID draft was one and Warp Speed was the other. If Seal Deck's not your game, look for regionals online in constructed format soon. And going into more kind of upcoming stuff, we have, as mentioned, a lot of regionals in the tri-state area where I'm from. Minnesota, South Dakota, and North Dakota are all 1, 2, 3. South Dakota's coming up in 2 weeks. Florida, they're running theirs soon.
Chicago, 2 weeks.
Chicago's in 2 weeks. Yep. And then we do have other regionals in Germany, and looking ahead to Masters in Germany, Nationals in Kentucky, and then eventually Continentals in the US and in Germany as well. So a lot of things are on the calendar over the next couple of months. We're just starting that road to Worlds right now, but we are all kind of firing on as many cylinders as we can coming out of COVID. So if you are interested in running a regional, contact your local continental coordinator. That is me if you're in Australia, Jules in Europe, and Michael Van Bremen in North America. Speaking of regionals, I actually have a little bit of a spoiler for everybody. I'm not entirely sure that that's been widely announced, but this year is the year of the Dominion, and Brian knows this because he's seen them all. Charlie's seen them all too, but we went very different from years past. Years past, we've done ship and commander pairings, and this year we went, because of the species of Dominion, we're doing them in a species order. So first up is Jem'Hadar for regionals. And then I believe Nationals and Masters is Vorta, right? I might make sure I do this right. And then the founders are going to be your world's foils.
No.
Oh, I got it backwards.
No, it's
Missing somebody.
It's Jemadar, Vorta, Changeling, and
Changeling.
something.
Yes, World is not. Yes, you're right. You're right. Thank you.
And then beside the ambassadors are Karma.
Yes, ambassadors are getting a different species of Dominion.
So
That's I forgot about that. But I actually have, thanks to Maggie's hard work, I have the regional kit here in front of me. So, or if you haven't seen these images, this is the first one I've got. I've got one replay, which is a Tribbles foil. The image is of, if you can see it on my screen, the image I believe is an AI of the Hippocratic Oath image. It looks like it's Julian giving Garanagar, instead of he's got a tricorder, he's got a giant Tribble in his hand, which I think is pretty cool. Everybody see that? Totally covering my own face.
We didn't need your face anyway.
No, it's better this way. Trust me. All right. Next up, we have the first edition side that I forgot to mention earlier in my pitch. These are not the same people. So you're going to have what we went with for this year was the most popular, most useful kind of cards for each edition in each game. So Tribbles is obviously going to have different powers at different levels, but the 1E side and the 2E side are not the same people. So first edition is getting Garanagar, and he is in a very kind of I don't believe you face going right here. He's really cool foil. I think I'm looking forward to playing and winning this tournament if I can, or at least getting a foil. And then the last one up is Ixtana Rocks. This was a reflections card, if I remember, and no one had, I don't think it's been AI'd before. So this is another alternate image of him, the 2-cost Jem'Hadar, who dies when you use a skill, but you don't care because he's just there for strength, right? Isn't that how we usually use? Maybe he gets by a dilemma. But yeah, those are the 3 for the regionals. And if you have not already applied, please do so. This year we have lowered the cost of regionals and lowered the amount of cards being shipped out. So hopefully it's a little more cost prohibitive to you and your local playgroup. That is, I think, everything I have for organized play. It's kind of a lot of rambling. But we will now jump over to Justin for the financial report.
Yeah. Hey. It's been a year. Just working on the recap for 2021. Biggest outlier went through expenses, and it looks like we spent a little over $800 on buttons, which is for a discussion that we probably need to have because with rising costs, looking at the economy and looking at the price of the website, button costs have gone up probably 150% over the last 3 years. So we may need to examine how many buttons are being purchased and what we want, if we want to do an alternative to that, because it is, I think, becoming a bit cost prohibitive for our small organization.
On that front, though, I'll say we hadn't really ordered many before this last order, like for a while.
We ordered buttons 3 times in 2021 and once in 2020 and twice in 2019. So we have ordered a lot of buttons. So I mean, the cost on the website, just the costs have gone up. Like their unit costs have gone through the roof, and it's probably due to economic conditions.
I'm certain we need to look at that, but I remember just as a group, we determined we're not going to have a year anymore on specific buttons. It'll just be regionals, national, we're just ordering them. And then if we have extras now, thankfully we can recycle them, which I think is a brilliant idea. I can't remember whose it was, but the non-yeared specific regionals, masters, nationals, continentals, whatever. Hopefully we can stretch
that. Was Donnie's idea. I think he was tired of updating them every year. So he's like, I'll just do you one.
Right, and it's brilliant. Then to your point, Justin, hopefully we can cut down on that cost going forward because now you can use them until they're gone instead of just 1 year specific.
Yeah, and I'm digging through also on the Inc. Playmat website, and I'm hoping that Playmat costs have not gone up because we still have several years of affiliations to go, and hopefully we can still continue to do that as well, because that is the second, obviously, largest cost every year since we started the affiliation rolls.
Fortunately, we won't be having to buy this year's. We did those together with last year's.
Dominion, yeah, we bought Dominion at the end of last year. Yeah, that was the purchase for 2021. Yeah, but this year we'll obviously have to buy next year's, obviously in this year. So hopefully those costs have not gone up. I'm seeing is looking like it's about 900 for the playmats for the order that we would be ordering. So that's a pretty hefty bill.
Then you're not looking in the right place.
Our bill for playmats for this year for Year of Dominion was a little over 800.
No, that's for 2 years worth.
That was for 2 years in a row. I think it was Justin.
We ordered
Justin.
Bajoran and Dominion at the same time.
Either way, it's ultimately my team's cost, so I'm happy to help subsidize that, Justin. If we run afoul of it, just let me know.
So I mean, we just have to be smart about it. I mean, we have to consider, you know, people with the economy going, you know, this purchasing kits and stuff on our promenade is, you know, discretionary costs and income for those people. And with, you know, rising costs, you know, I don't know, everybody else, gas, you know, price of gas is, you know, $50 to $100 for a tank. You've got food prices have gone up. And so, you know, income has gone down. Our income year over year has, this was the lowest year yet. You know, we $4,600 in income compared to 2020, 48 compared to 8,300 in 2019. So we are losing and dropping in income, and so we may have to make hard decisions. And so, regional income is the biggest source of income for us, and obviously, you know, that has been low this year as well. So you know, it's the times. You know, it's everybody's feeling it, and we just, you know, we may have to adapt. You know, like we adapted to COVID, and deal with it. So
yep. Justin, other financial things you want to address? Or does that kind of cover your report?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Dropping down to old business, I think is where we're at now. Let me try to find my agenda, right? I believe the changing of the definition of member for the period of revoting, is that still under examination, or has that been taken care of? I can't remember if that's done.
It's still an open issue.
Okay.
I don't think any sort of consensus has been come to on how to change that. And I'm probably, like, this is Maggie's area, like this is her project, but
okay.
Change what?
The definition of like a voting member. So right now it's just folks who have the premium membership, whether that's through volunteer or for paying, you know, for the premium membership. So we're, I don't know, trying to find a broader audience of voting members in a way that is not abusable, I suppose, and is like legitimate. So that's still an open topic. One thing I wondered about recently was if anyone who does tournament director or plays in a regional or higher level event becomes a voting member for the next period of review, like throwing that idea out there. Like it's a way to get people who want to play, you know, together involved, and the people who are running the events involved. So I don't know if that's a viable path either. It's just another idea to throw out there.
I think the main takeaway is that none of us are taking it lightly. We're all trying to find an amenable solution that can appease as many groups as possible. And like Brian said, Maggie and he have both been kicking ideas around and working on it. But unfortunately, that one might have to get kind of tabled for this meeting because Maggie's really the person who I think would provide the best update on that. Jumping down to printable promos, I think we've already touched on this, but yeah, Charlie, Maggie, and Maggie's got some people she's delegating and recruiting that is in process and working on it. We'll get those up as soon as possible. And obviously an article will go up either by Maggie or myself that just says, yep, now they're finally ready to go. So I think if there's anybody interested in joining us for the public comment period, they should probably jump in because we are, Charlie's muted. What's up, Charlie?
I'm sending him the link right now, and then I'll admit him when you're ready.
Perfect. Okay. For the open board, non-board voting volunteer positions, I believe given this is now Scott's 6th absence, we have to officially have him no longer be the director of communications. I don't know how you can phrase that. He's not resigning, right? What do we call it?
I think it is like in the bylaws, it's considered a cause for removal because of what is it? Sorry, I'm looking at them now. I was trying to find the wording before you brought it up.
No, it's my fault. I'm unprepared. I don't want to say we're firing Scott because we are not firing Scott. Scott is more than welcome to reapply in the future for this particular role, but having been absent for 6 months, we need to have someone who can report to the community.
Yeah, because failure to attend 6 consecutive regular meetings of the board of directors during their term. So that's like the cause.
Yep. So speaking to that, if anybody is interested in trying to take over that role as the director of communications, please reach out to myself or to Maggie if you're more comfortable talking to Maggie. Either is fine, and we will look into qualifications. Start a conversation basically about what the job duties are, how you plan to take it over, etc. And again, Daniel's been doing a terrific job in Scott's absence, but we totally don't expect Daniel to take on the whole picture. So right now, if anybody is willing to jump in and throw their hat in the ring and help us out, that would be much appreciated.
So there's a strange edge case I don't think we anticipated in the bylaws right now. We can't technically vote Scott out, just the 5 of us. We would need Maggie here to do it, but we can essentially make that call for the next director to be whatever. We can start that process to start the next follow-up person. I don't know how to phrase that, but it's just a weird edge case where it says unanimous of everyone else in office has to vote on it, or it should say unanimous of everyone in the meeting.
If that's the case, then what if we get a message from Scott next week and he's like, hey, everything's cleared up, I want to come back? Is it a foregone conclusion at this point that he's out, or is it, I guess, does the bylaws say you are automatically out, or when this happens, you can be removed?
It does not force us to remove Scott. It is a stipulated cause that would be a reason we would do this vote, if that makes sense.
So that makes perfect sense.
Yep. I guess, Justin, for the minutes, let's cite this as acknowledgement of the board of 6 consecutive absences, and that we anticipate a vote in the near future. However, effectively, like to Charlie's point, to me, this is just giving Scott a 30-day clock, right? If you don't reach out to us in the next few weeks, we're gonna, have to vote. We don't have a choice. And people in the, watching this don't necessarily know. Scott was very upfront with us. He told us what was going on in his life. He was concerned about it. We feel that Scott is a great person in this role for communications, given his real life job. And we didn't really want to accept a resignation from him at that time. We were trying to just work through it with him. So I guess that's kind of my feeling. I don't want to speak for the entire board, but Scott, you're certainly welcome back. But at this point, we're going to have to acknowledge that position may be open right now. That seemed fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think we were all, including Scott, hoping that his work life would calm down and he'd be back, but it doesn't seem like that's happening. So.
Yep. And speaking to the other positions, ultimately, I go right by the volunteer page, which I don't know that a lot of people know exists. Top of the bar, if you click on volunteer, There are currently 3 open positions. European shipping coordinator. We are still looking for someone to do that. A UI UX designer, which I don't even know what that means. Maybe Brian does.
I can speak to both of those if you want. So the European shipping coordinator, that is a thing we've wanted to get going, but there's always the question of, does the person who wants to apply have the time and the space for stuff? You know, like, can we? It's almost there haven't been very many like people reach out to me, so it's not like we're turning down tons of people who want to be our shipping coordinator. That's not really the issue. It's more like, let's start the conversation, and then people either disappear or it's just obviously not a fit. Yeah, we still want someone in Europe so that we can ship stuff to that person, and that person ships stuff to other Europeans, so that we avoid, you know, all these brand new customs charges that everyone is charging for these things, which have very little actual real value in the world. That is what we want to get there out of the European shipping coordinator. And if you are interested, reach out to me. I want to talk to you. As far as the
desperately
yes.
want to talk to you is what I'm hearing.
Yes. As far as the UI UX, so that's user interface, user experience. We're looking for someone who has experience in designing websites and designing the user flow of applications or whatever, the actual look and feel and function of a website. So yes, we have a team of programmers, but I will not call any of us UI UX experts. We want someone who has done that and knows it. And that's a tall order, because that's a very specific role in the professional world. So if you are one of those people, I absolutely want to talk to you. Even if you don't take up the position, I still want to pick your brain on the things we need to do. So if you are that person, please talk to me.
Or if you know somebody, right? We have a lot of IT people who may not do that for a living in their real job, but they might know somebody at their company who does it.
And if they would be willing to talk to me, that would also be good. But yeah, those are the 2 that I have up there as open volunteer positions.
It's not on the list. It populates every once in a while. We're always looking for an Australian continental coordinator. I don't pretend to know Australia, but Kieran down there has largely been that person for us. He's been running tournaments down there. But if you're a newer returning player in Australia and you think that you would like to take those reins, please reach out to me. And then Charlie's got open positions on the balance team as well. I think he just stepped away, but the balance team, if anybody may remember, they were intended to serve a term and rotate out. And my understanding is they are having those internal conversations about rotating out and just looking for new people who are involved in the tournament scene on the first edition side, who are interested in helping them find balances or at least reporting back. I don't want to speak for you, Charlie, but
yeah, we put the whole rotating thing on hold because COVID happened and everything kind of went sideways. And now that the team is up and running, we're looking to bring the rotating cast back. So if you're interested, contact Dan, Jason, and myself.
Yes, please don't continue to do what I do, which is just text Charlie shit from tournaments and say, well, I just lost to this, I will fix it. I don't like losing. That's not helpful. Even though it's fun for me. And not probably so much for Charlie. But yes.
I get much worse texts in
well, I don't swear at you when I do it. I'm just like, maybe it's time to bring this back. Maybe it's time to peel this off. But yes, I need to eat my own words, and I have actually kind of informally applied to be on the balance team, so they'll probably tell me to go fuck myself, but that's fine. It's justified. Anyway, I don't think, Justin, that you have any open positions on your side, right? TJ, do you have any perhaps on yours that you're looking to fill?
And also on the organizational chart, I am still missing from the organizational chart, FYI, Brian.
Well, that's because you're from section 31. You don't
Yeah,
actually exist.
do not acknowledge your existence. Sorry. I thought I fixed that, but these freaking roles are weird. So I'll try again.
I'm looking at the About Us tab, and I think you just need to make a right arrow where Maggie is and have it adjusted there, right?
Probably.
Sorry, TJ, did you say that you have anybody, any openings, or are you full on the TUI side?
I think you're muted, bud.
Yeah, TJ's muted.
Yeah, we are full. Everything it's fine. Fine here. We have just at the moment one double position, but that's okay for me because it is working.
Okay. I mean, I feel like a broken record, but I'll always say, if you are interested in playtesting, first edition, second edition, Tribbles, apply. They always need playtesters for those 3 games. So that's the other.
And I will say, like, if you don't want to play test all the time, but you like, hey, I have a month off, I'm bored. That's okay. Like, reach out to us, or you know, hey, I really love TNG movie stuff. Can I help with that set? That we're more than willing to do stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be like this huge, big commitment. If you want to come in and out of testing on things that really excite you, that's what we want. We want people that really like the things we're working on to be working on. So let us know.
Definitely, mission specialists are encouraged. Is how I would phrase that, both for Brian and for Charlie on their opening positions. That's, I believe, everything on the agenda, which would, I think we're ready to jump down to the open comments. We have anybody in the public comment that wants to step in? Ross wanted to join us today. Good morning, Ross.
Hi. All right. Please excuse me. I'm 30 seconds behind you. But thank you for allowing me to speak about diversity. I'll begin with something that struck me recently and then move on to other parts in which, while strong, can be improved upon. I will be mentioning minority women a lot, and while this does not make diversity instantaneously, the application is also towards those in specific geographic areas, such as Irish and Celtic. March Madness 21 started off as a disappointment for me. While the winner was one of the few planets with a diverse population, a rarity in general, but particularly within the context of a single episode, of the 64 slots, not one of them had a minority female. I mentioned something to the appropriate staff members, and I look forward to 2022. That bracket came out a little early and once again did not feature minority female. These do not appear to be in isolation. There have been some promos for the ambassadors, but the ones chosen to date do not have a minority female. The committee has focused their organized play promos around affiliations. This is good for the game and make sure that everyone gets something eventually. Take a look at the affiliations and see which ones have the potential for minority females. My math may be off, but I have a hard time finding a Borg, Cardassian, Dominion, Ferengi, Herosian, Tazon, or Vidian, even under pounds of latex. This means that of the 13 years we have, more than half have no choice of being a reflection of the population. I have brought these to an appropriate person and was told we are limited by the footage. That may be true, that is true, but I counter with the footage is not limiting. Take the Ferengi. We've seen 2 females, and each of the 3 actresses would be a Caucasian woman under latex. You do have access to Marta, Jake's love interest Dabo girl. That would work in first edition, not second. Though you also have Leanne, another love interest of Jake, who had issues with the Ferengi culture, and their date turned into a double. If you are a child of the 80s, you know who played her. If not, hurry up and think because time is running out, and you can't count on being saved by the bell. The ambassador promos would require a similar expansion of thought. Milana Torres was essentially an ambassador for the Federation while being a muse. You could say the same for Hoshi Sato while in exile. You also have the original communication specialist, Uhura. She is enshrined in popular culture and recruited minority women for NASA. Guinan is a de facto ambassador to several on the Enterprise. Whoopi Goldberg may single-handedly be responsible for keeping the franchise alive. Of all the products made, the ambassador should really be at the ready with these figures of pop culture. March Madness has a wide open field of episodes to choose from. There's Enterprise's Vox Sola, for example. I know at least one of you is a fan of that, and it would be the greatest idea in the world. Hashtag Hamilton. Why the focus on minority women? 2 months prior to March Madness 2021, the first and thus far only female chancellor of Germany left office. A month later, for the first time, a Black Asian female was sworn in as vice president of the United States. For those of you not in this call, I have put 2 links in the chat which speak billions of words. Representation matters. Magic the Gathering specifically made a transgender character to better represent that player base. I know someone who went through a similar transition and got like double the amount of friends. At a prior address to this group, I was specifically asked if there was something to vote on. I did not and just went humana, 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 humana. But there is something we have discussed and voted on. There's a diversity statement that is so important, it is on most pages of this site. Those words need to mean something. That does not mean that I do not have suggestions. Expanding the horizons of products on a regular basis for the benefit of the community for both organized play and ambassador promos would go a long way. March Madness disappointed me with not having Palmer, played by astronaut Mae Jemison, who was visited on set by Nichelle Nichols. The call was put out to assist with making selections for the bracket, and as you can tell, I did not take the call. Charlie, if you're doing March Madness in 2023, I'm at the ready and hereby volunteer. No announcement has been made yet, so this might be the first time someone has volunteered for a project in advance. It would be behoove of me not to mention March Madness 2020, which featured several minorities in both genders. As important as representation is, so is context. First edition has a crime and punishment block filled with a rogues gallery of ne'er-do-wells coming up. It is all right if there are no minority females in those sets. Voyager's Repentance kind of missed the mark with that. Please do not think of this as a widespread problem. Every time a set releases, art makes sure that a variety of races are represented on the pack art or the promotional set image on the website. I myself am non-creative and do not always think in this manner. On a more personal note, it is not right for me to come here and ask you to be more inclusive and not have a list of minority candidates to choose from across Trek. I'm still in the proposal preparation phase of a project that will involve me looking at every single episode. Since I am doing that, I might as well look at the minorities while I'm at it. That way, when you go to the pest store set ideas, you can just scoop them out of the fish tank. This should not stifle projects coming down the pipeline. There is already criteria for making a set. For example, how many decks will this impact? Is this a high-level set, star power, etc.? I would recommend adding diversity to that criteria. That does not mean every product needs to feature diversity, but it should be part of this discussion. It should also mean you should not include projects that do not feature diversity in them. This is my second address to the board about the subject of diversity. Please do not lead me in the direction of searching for Spock. We are limited by the footage, but the footage is not limited. Thank you for your time, and I yield the floor to questions.
Thank you, Ross. I certainly I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I want to take it under advisement. It is absolutely a question of representation. But to that end, we're limited in what we can and cannot do. Obviously, we are not Decipher. Decipher made a lot of these cards to start with. We are making new cards, new products. I'm all in favor of if it's a background character or not a main character, make that strong universal for the set. But I don't run Charlie's team or TJ's team. I don't want to take any thing away from either of them. And as far as organized play goes, we've gotten a big about face this year, and it's a focus on cards people want to play. And the reason that it has to be cards people want to play is because attendance at events is down. That's a reality. We need to get people to come out and play. And we can't be making promos of random background people to help people come out and play. Those two goals are at odds. So at least for this year, it's not to say I won't take it under advisement, but my goal is to get people to play. And ultimately that happens through very popular cards that are hard to come by. That's why 2E's tournament foil for regionals is a ref card, a reflections card that a lot of people may not have. It's just the reality of organized play right now is people aren't playing, and we're not going to be able to care about diversity if it's only 6 of us who are not playing very often. That, I guess, is my counterpoint. But again, I do hear you. I want to see it as much as you do. My wife's a woman of color, so it hits me very close to home. But I guess I don't know what more I can say other than we're doing our best. And I hope that that's a sufficient answer. Does anybody else on the board want to have any questions or want to make any comments?
Yeah, me. I tried to follow it, so it was a little bit hard for me with the English. What do you exactly expect? What could I, as a TUI director, do? Would it help you to give it a try to say, okay, I give it a chance, you can create a small set in a normal production, not in 2022, but in 2023, to create a set related to what you address? Yeah, would that help you to let's see where we end? That we go in production with a kind of set in a normal process, and you give the ideas. I have to coordinate it, but would that something that helped you?
So I'm not saying it wouldn't help. I would say that of the skills that are required to design, I do not have many of them and would not feel comfortable doing that. I also do not see designing a set specifically with minorities to be something that would be of great use. I just would like you to think, as you're making a set, consider some of the representational ways you can include people in it. And I realize there are some very valid set ideas that do not lend themselves to featuring diversity. I would recommend opening your mind with what the set is and wondering what diverse elements you can include with that. I know both first and second edition are doing a Vidian related set at some point in the future, and Belana Torres should feature in some fashion in those sets. I don't feel that a set needs to be made specifically having them, but for sets that are coming down the line, you might realize, oh, wow, this great famous Broadway actress who's done a lot for representation could be a card in the set. Let's include her for one of the background characters.
Okay, yeah, it is not easy, but what about at least to start with something? We can try it. I'm open to new ideas, but what it is about to having a kind of list to inspire me, to inspire designers to work with. Yeah, to say, okay, that's what we, like you said with Belana. It would help me a little bit to say, okay, I have a list, and when there's a new set and it fits in the theme, to work with it. Yeah, you see, because it's if I want to make it somehow happen, which I can understand, we are limited, but from organizing, it just works the way that we have an idea and we work with, or we have someone accompany every set to say, okay, I have a look at that. And with the manpower I have now, I can't do that. I can't do that. Simply, then I need someone extra to say, okay, we make a new set. And in the production of the new set, he says, okay, maybe this might be a card for diversity or representation or something like that. So I need something to work with. We can talk about that. Ross, I'm willing to do that, but it's a question how to organize it. Yeah, it's organize it. If I say now I can keep an eye on it, it will get lost. It will get lost because too much to work in production. Yeah. So think about how it could work in the production process, and then I'm willing to give my best to have a look at it. But I need something to work with it. And I need ideas, or I need something about how to organize it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will be doing a project that will go through every single episode.
Yeah.
So, since I'm going through every episode anyway, I will make note of minorities. Just to realize there's over 500 hours we're talking about. This will
Yeah.
be a lot of work.
Yeah,
I'm-
but I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine with it, but I just want not to get lost. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that you're both speaking the same language, and I know Charlie stepped out. But my understanding is the resolution for this issue is Ross will get a list and provide it to the two directors. And when their art teams and their creative teams are looking for, just those random, we all see them, the random pixelated images of somebody who's in the background, right? And if that might be all we can do, Ross, but that's the reality of the situation. And I guess I don't care at all if I have a random background character that's white, non-white, male, female, different. I don't give a shit. If that person has the skills I need for my deck, the picture could be blank. So I don't have any issue, and I don't think anybody on the panel has any issue with using that background character if it is a person of color as that image. I think that makes a lot of sense. We should do better at that, and we can. But I don't want to keep having this conversation at the board level anymore. So we're addressing it. We're talking about it. The solution is to get a list to them, and they will do their best. Is that fair?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. Anything else you
I am
wanted to
still
bring
here. I
forward
just
to
turned
the
my
board?
camera off, for the record.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm still here. I just turned my camera off.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you stepped away, Charlie.
No, and I'm don't really have anything to add to the conversation.
Okay. That sounds good. Anything else, Ross, you want to talk about?
Not at the board level, not now, but again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I haven't checked any of the streaming stuff for, I'm bad at that. Any questions that have come up on the forums or in the dojo or anything?
I don't see any on Dojo or the forum.
I haven't seen anything on YouTube. It's been pretty quiet.
Okay. We did it in just exactly an hour, if I'm following that. And any issues regarding us just adjourning for this board meeting?
Nope, I moved to adjourn.
Okay.
Second, I suppose.
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Thank you all.